I think from digital mobility, let us go to physical mobility, actually. I think Manjunath is here from TVS, actually. I think he has been on an industry which has gone for a complete toss even before the COVID and to now into post-COVID into a completely different animal altogether. You have case studies around EV adoption, which are picking up in some way or the other. Then there is an industrial transformation going into hybrid and also into such various modes of transmissions and things like that. I think we have an extreme amount of buyers who are making a lot more informed decisions. And we are a distributor of choice with most of the automobile manufacturers in India. The entire supply chain going into a lot of change. I think we are on the cusp of multiple changes. It's just not one change, actually. Unlike many other industries, I think we are not into one change. So how do you deal with such amount of extreme change? Are you really geared to deal with this in one go, or do you have the tools? Do you have the kind of insights that you may require for you to really deal with the amount of change that is happening in your industry?
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for the invite and the chance given. The thing is, yes, as you rightly said, we are going through a lot of churn in the organization, both in the organization as well as in the industry as well. So, but as you know, already know, TVS being a traditional organization, we were used to the brick and mortar kind of stuff, the manual physical activity, and our job is related to servicing the vehicle. It is purely related to the physical activities at the ground level. Now with this pandemic, the push has been robust, drastic push has been towards the digital footprint, where the physical presence of the people are getting reduced. But still we have to meet the customer, we have to keep the engagement of the customer. So to keep the customer experience going, in the last 1.5 years, we have been fully into the cloud first model. That has been a blessing in disguise. With this pandemic, it has been very useful. It has been very helpful to keep closer to our customers. And there are massive programs being rolled out in the organization to have the digital footprint, to increase the digital footprint, where typically initially we had to do a lot of manual activities, physical presence activities. Now we are conveying those into the form of digital footprints, in the form of digital applications to the customers. That is one way. The second challenge, major challenge is we have, with being a traditional organization, we had all the in-house hosting of the data center infrastructures and all. We have come out of it. Now we have moved into the cloud around 2 years back. So that was a major shift that has been done, both from the cultural perspective as well as from the industry trend perspective. We were one of the early adapters of adopting cloud in the manufacturing segment, in the distribution segment. That was a key lever for us to move forward. Now that we have completed the IaaS model of the infrastructure hosting in the cloud, now we are exploring the other services of the cloud like SaaS, PaaS kind of services, which has enabled us being as a first leader in adoption of cloud. That is another way. Now, the another thing that is coming is, as Mr. Mouli said, rightly said, on the electric vehicles and the automations that is coming in and all. That is adding us further fuel to the fire and is creating more chaos. Like we are trying to build out the IoTs, the data analytics. Now the data is lying in so many bits and pieces across the world in different platforms, different methods. How can we bring the data into a single view and single make meaningful decisions? So these are all the learnings. Yes, all are not done at the right pace, at the right speed. Yes, we are going through the learning curve. Somewhere we take a hit, somewhere we take some misses, and we are trying to overcome that by adapting the tools, whatever we have, taking the support of the service providers wherever possible, and we are crossing through that milestone.
Great, great. I think for Chandra, for example, now do you have enough insights that your tool really can give it to an industry like automotive, which can going in for such a vast amount of change? Because you heard that they are in a lot of brick and mortar places, and suddenly something going digital and supply chain getting virtual. Can gas really highlight some of the changes that you can, insights that you can really bring into the table to help customers here like TVS to understand their business problems better?
Sure, Chandra Mouli. First of all, good evening to all.
Excuse me, Mr. Chandra, sorry to interrupt you for just a minute. Mr. Prakash from BMW has joined.
Oh, sure. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, Mr.
Hello,
Prakash.
everybody.
So sorry to interrupt you again.
No,
Oh,
welcome,
no
Mr.
problem.
Prakash. Welcome to the conversation. Thank you
I
for
think
taking
you're
time.
just right around the time. I think we are just going through the automotive phase.
Hi, Prakash. Good
Okay,
evening.
go ahead, Chandra. Yeah, please.
Yes. Chandra Mouli and Manjunath. First, we talked about a lot of challenges and the technology, particularly the EV itself is a new technology. It's a challenge as well as the interesting innovation. AIOps actually thrives on these new technologies. The AIOps actually deals with the data and more and less on technologies. That doesn't mean that it will not work with the new technologies. Many times we are asked whether the AIOps could work with the new niche technologies like SD-WAN or hyperscaler environment, or some even go, Manju, you talked about adopting more new technologies in the cloud like the containers and microservices. So one of the characteristics of AIOps platform is the ability to integrate with various tools and technologies and thereby consume the data for analysis and prediction. That is actually the true requirement of an AIOps. And that once you have that, then actually we don't need to worry about what technology is that. The readiness to work with the new technology should be there in AIOps tool. And the zero incident framework, which we have as an AIOps tool, have been able to integrate with various tools. And in fact, many places we have been asked whether we could integrate with medical devices, kiosks, and POS machines. So that way, I think this is ready to take the challenges and the new technologies that the new pandemic provides, Mr. Chandra Mouli. Another thing I want to highlight here is, Vinod also talked about that the reliance on technology has actually become more now. Even those organizations which have been 50-50 on the technology dependency and reliance is now entirely depending on technology. So service reliability has become very key in today's world. And that's actually one of the key deliverable of AIOps. One of the measures of service reliability is actually the user experience. And you also talked about, Vinod, and everyone would agree that user experience is actually the key thing in any applications, tools, technologies, and it is true for AIOps also. We firmly believe every problem or incident that happens in an IT environment has a connection to the user experience. Vinod actually clearly explained the problem to analytics to action. And that's how these AIOps work. And we associate every problem with user experience. And we start the resolution of the problem also from the user's point of view. And the user should get consistent response from applications irrespective of the day and time, whether it is peak hours or non-peak hours. Again, a true AIOps tool like Gap Zero Incident Framework continuously monitor the user experience. Again, we monitor the user experience as a primary. Thereby, we also monitor the systems and other things, predict the user experience based on the historic data, and suggest remediations before an unpleasant event happens.